Reasons to be Miserable with Jonathan Fibonacci. Beautiful San Juans, hiking in the San Juans. And what would 3 nights in the San Juan look like for you? Holy shit, look at that, boom. Peregrine's Peak. See if I can do this really cinematographical, like Mel Gibson-ical, Spielberg-ical, you know what I mean. Trying to make this, I think they sell those stabilizers, you know. Like, I know somebody else needs to stay black. Listen, I'm just trying to show you some fucking San Juans and show you some beautiful, beautiful nature. And nothing, and I mean nothing, awakens the soul more than nature. Holy shit. So here I'm hiking in beautiful Durango. And you know the rules, wherever I'm visiting, I will try to bless the community. And so picked up a paper. I thought, you know what I'm going to do? Today I'm going to make it about local businesses and supporting local businesses. And, you know, if you've watched this channel for long, you know that, you know, here it's Saturday here in the San Juans, small business owners, they never get a vacation. You know, corporate people have Dilbert and they have those kind of people that kind of understand the rigors of the corporate world, because the corporate world is its own culture. Well, small businesses are the same. And who's talking to the small business owner? But did you know that 70% of jobs, or let's say make it more personal, 70% of you guys that are working are employed by small businesses. So who's really making an impact in that? And I know that's kind of random. You know, John Fibonacci out here in the beautiful San Juans. Saw 41. You make what? Saw a hawk? No, I have seen some amazing birds out here though. In fact, one thing about the Four Corners is my uncle he was a falconer, or is a falconer. I don't know. I don't really like him. He's one of those uncles I don't really like, but I love. Anyway, Bart the Fart is what I call him. He is a falconer, and so he kind of growing up, I remember being around his falcons, and I fell in love with just being in the presence of a majestic bird like that. And that's one of the things that I wish I could tell Bart. I'd say, man, you know, Bart the Fart, that was such a wonderful experience in my childhood, because here I am in the beautiful San Juans, and when I see these predator birds and I see these amazing falcons, and I even saw a white hawk. Got to be very careful how you say that. I saw what I believe to be an albino red hawk. So is there such a thing as an albino red hawk? It was one of those Jesus moments. Holy shit, I was like, fuck. Had its little lieutenant bird. And then in Pagosa Springs, I saw my first bald eagle. And then I saw another one on the Animas River. I think it was earlier last year. This is my second year in Durango. So I went up to Sausalito. But enough travel log. Here I am back in Durango. So let's kind of talk about local businesses and kind of see if I can't bring a little bit of jokes. But how can we be more miserable, or reasons to be more miserable? Well, wake up. Gotta wake up in New York. This is my office. Boom. There you go. Reasons to be miserable, says the Wall Street Journal. And I'm a Wall Street Journal guy over a New York Times guy. Just, I'm kind of one of those, I get so tired of all that, like pro-female, rah-rah, pro-female, the future's female. How I get so sick of that I think every third or fourth story in the New York Times is about rah-rah chick stuff. And it gets so old to me, especially since I'm kind of hashtagging MRA. So here you go. This is my office. I broke my fucking bong, dude. You know, and I'm still in kind of that emotional state where you break your fucking bong and you're like, fuck. Anyway, so I broke it. So today is new bong day. Look at this. We'll kind of get to the titles later, but this is where I'm going. Beautiful Durango. It's a local newspaper. Saw some things in here last night. I was at the Steam and Bean. Here you go. It says, this is word on the street. Boom. What do you wish would fall from the sky? So there you go. It can help me with my content. There you go. Tell me, what do you wish would fall from the sky? See, Jonathan Fibonacci. That's what I want to fall from the sky. I want some help in maybe your local motel here in town, Caboose Motel. You want to check that one out. Ask for the Fibonacci discount. By the way, anytime you see a, if you're in any of the cities that I visit, like Sausalito, Durango, I'm not sure where else I'm going to go. See what I did? I kind of rhymed there. Any city that you see this in, if I cover it here, like for example, let me show you a real life example. Let's say that you want to go to, here we go, kind of promote a local business. You know what? You can't go wrong with Sante. It's a great store. So you walk into Sante and say, hey, I want the Fibonacci discount. They're like, well, are we Muddy Buddies? I'm like, no, that's Jermaine Dersh. But John Fibonacci on YouTube, he's really promoting small businesses. You're a small business, 10%, I think, if you go to Sante. Really good place. And then we're going to meet the new boss. We're going to meet the new boss. She's going to talk about birds, beads, and the bears. They're going to meet this guy. Holy shit. Look at this guy. He's not playing around. He's the new boss. Durango got a new boss. And it's not even John Fibonacci. Now, I hired this guy. I interviewed him extensively. The reason why I hired him is, one, I like that he's not white. And I call him Chief Afzal. He calls me John Fibonacci, or actually calls me Chief John Fibonacci, you know what I'm saying? But this is why I hired him. You know, he's one of those good cops. You know how there's bad cops and there's good cops, and then there's cops that just are corrupt, like the Ferguson people. But he said something in this article that I thought, you know, holy shit, this guy, you know, this is a reason to like Durango. I mean, there's how many reasons are there to like Durango? But look at this. He's talking honest. He says the biggest setback in law enforcement was when beat officers were taken off the street and put into cars. He's talking about community building. And it's a really interesting new theme or concept that I want to get behind because, you know, these are good cops. There are bad cops, like in West Texas. I mean, holy shit, some of the stories I've heard out there. So welcome to Durango, Chief Afzal from John Fibonacci. Thank you for the community building. We look forward to making sure that that you're a good cop, not one of those Ferguson motherfuckers. And thank you for the narrative. I'm not even sure how to talk to a fucking police chief. One time I did talk to a police chief in Muleshoe, Texas. So this is my second chief to talk to. That's a funny story. I was in Muleshoe, Texas. I was talking to a police chief, Texas 2503, and anyway, I call that guy the rice monkey. He is a motherfucker. I can't stand that guy. And, you know, talking about federally protected statuses. And, of course, you know, here I am in West Texas talking about John Denver. I mean, you're like, John Fibonacci, what the fuck are you talking about Jonathan Fibonacci and federally protected status? Well, I'm glad you brought that up. Let's go back to the boss. Let's leave John Denver alone. Let's leave the birds and the bees alone. Let's forget that we're in the beautiful San Juan. Let's have an honest conversation, because that's what John Fibonacci wants on this channel, honest conversations. Chief Afzal, he's talking about community building. He's you know, and I've already said that. But let's talk about federally protected statuses and how they're relevant in today's world even more. Well, there's a book out there called The Blood of Emmett Till. And I would love to sit down with this guy and ask him about the blood of Emmett Till and federally protected statuses and profiling and the Fourth Amendment, and really just, you know, how can we get good cops like this talking about the Fourth Amendment and talking about federally protected statuses and equality in civil cases and Texas 2503. How do we do that? Well, it's going to be, well, what I'm doing. Regular people like you and me are going, hey, meet the new boss. Welcome back. And thank you for saying things like this. And we look forward to the days when everybody was equal. And it was kind of, I know this is idyllic and cliche, but kind of Andy Griffith in the sense that police officers were viewed as serving and respecting and protecting. And we respected them for that. And no longer is there a sentiment of serving and protecting. It's more of social justice and the Emmett Till story and how cops are used for social profiling and really to, there's a whole group of people called minorities, African Americans that are without really any sort of protection in our major cities. And white people don't understand that. And when the cops don't protect minorities, specifically black people and Native American people, or people that are historically and routinely vulnerable, without good cops that truly have a sentiment like Chief Afzal, we're going to have mayhem. It's going to be every man for himself. So welcome back. It's a little something to get a little passionate about. John Fibonacci is always getting passionate about federally protected statuses. In fact, I'm probably one of the few people online that are talking about federally protected statuses. But I hope you go pick up that book, The Blood of Emmett Till. I was glad to see that story, that little boy that was killed, that kicked off the civil rights movement, that story is still being told because that mother was courageous and spoke about the Emmett Till story, and that was back there in 1930s, 1940s, and how Chief Afzal and the Emmett Till story, John Fibonacci, gender equality and protection of Native Americans and things like that. I mean, who's really having that discussion? Well, I'm trying to have it, and I may have it in my own imperfect way, but I hope that if some way, in some capacity, if this channel can bring light and love and specifically help people, and really to help people, and to truly help people. And sometimes I go, well, what the fuck can I really do to make a difference with homelessness in Los Angeles, or homelessness in San Antonio, or homelessness in your town, or in Durango, or when I think of homelessness in San Francisco, and I see that a lot of times the system is foundationally broken, and it's broken, and it breaks first on the police law enforcement level. And once they're in that system, or once people are in that system, so often that system eats them alive. And there's whole groups of people, and specifically blacks, and specifically Hispanics, that there's whole generations that are being eaten by this system of, well, just people who are trying to get rid of the Fourth Amendment. And just think of this, for example, think of this math. I know this has kind of been a rant from the San Juans, but again, I want this channel to be about bringing good and help. And there's a few things that I'm really passionate about. And one thing I'm really passionate about is the way police officers treat men, and black men and white men and Hispanic men. Because once you're in that system, it's very, very difficult to get out. And you don't have to guess long. I mean, it was because, I was talking to a police officer in Muleshoe, Texas, and I was asking him to enforce my court-ordered custody. And for 8 years, I haven't been able to see my children because of that motherfucker, the rice monkey in Muleshoe. And nobody cares about my custody case, 9355 in Muleshoe. But I'll tell you a story about Muleshoe that broke my heart, and maybe you'll understand some of the passion. But I was in Muleshoe, I was in that courthouse, Gordos, and I was just kind of waiting for my court date, or for my technically it was called a Rule 11, but my court date of, there's just all these little procedures you have to go through. And I walk in, this little Mexican kid was like, I think he was in shackles or fetters, like literally, he was like, there's people like with me that are quote unquote, air quote, civil cases, and they're criminal cases, so we were watching some of those criminal cases. And some of the bullshit I saw, were like, this guy didn't even know his address, and his court-ordered or appointed lawyer was arguing against him. And this guy couldn't even speak English, and they kept asking him the same question, like, what is your address? What is your name? And here he is in fucking fetters, and he's a Mexican guy. I'm like, holy shit. Where is this guy's representation when his own lawyer is working against him? And I saw that several times. And how men are divested, criminal men are divested of counsel. And there's a language barrier, and a lot of times these Mexicans were just walking up to the judge and just saying yes, 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 just like Rain Man, because they're in front of the judge and they're Mexican, they're whatever they were there for. And I did see moments of grace. Like there was a time that a guy that wanted to, before he went to jail, he wanted to go to his a funeral, and the judge was good enough to let him do that. And so he'd kind of win points like that, but then he would divest people of counsel, and then I saw lawyers literally working against. I'm like, who the fuck is protecting these Mexicans in West Texas? Well, John Fibonacci will, the best he can. And the blood of Emmett Till and federally protected statuses and why those are important. In mythology, there is a hero, and I forget his name because there's all those they have all those names, but there's a story of the labyrinth where one of the heroes became a hero because he was put into this labyrinth that no man could figure out. And he figured out how to get out of the labyrinth. And when I read that, I thought, that's a lot like the United States criminal system or the judicial system. Is they're putting the cops and the government with I'm thinking of the ESPN that basketball player Bias is his last name, and how they use that and just they're putting thousands and thousands and thousands and tens and thousands of minority men into a criminal system that they can never get out of. The labyrinth they'll never get out of it. And it begins a lot of times with just basic constitutional law, full representation, the Fourth Amendment, and good police officers. So I know that's kind of a rant from the woods, but man, in your community, what can you do? Well, in your community, learn some basic things about the assault on the Fourth Amendment. Learn some basic things about the statistics between minority sentencing and Caucasian sentencing. Look at statistics of what women can do to men and say about men, and how feminism is literally has its root in our court systems, and how men literally lose everything in those systems. And societally, we just think that's great because we want to help anything that has a flag, a dog, or children. In fact, look at that. Next time you want to see what propaganda looks like, notice that they will always tag, "We're doing this for the children. It's in the best interest of the children." And I see that in propaganda now. And I'm like, who's having that conversation? John Fibonacci. You guys be good. Guess I'm going to do some commercials, get a glass of water. We got to really, really stay current. And I love this guy so far. He's trying to get people out of the police cars, onto the streets, into the community. And later, I guess we'll talk about the militarization of police, and you can just look at their vehicles and how police officers are fucking militarized. There's a reason. We have to wake up and be a little conscious of things. And this great guy, what is his name? Chief Afzal, welcome back. He's trying to get people into the community, out of their militarized vehicles. You guys be good.